Hey guys, welcome back to your Heroclix headquarters. So today, you've asked for it, and in honor of the new Fantastic Four set releasing, it's time for my top 5 picks of Ghost Rider. So without further ado, let's check out the list. Alright, so starting us off at number 5, we have the Daniel Ketch Ghost Rider from the Marvel Knights OP kit. This guy looks pretty awesome. So we'll take a look at what he can do. He's got the trait Pennant Stare, which whenever from the character 25 points or more is KO'd by an opponent, you can place a Penance token on this card. When Ghost Rider makes a close combat attack, you may replace his damage value with the number of Penance tokens on his card and lock it, and if you do, damage dealt is penetrating. So this guy, late game, has potential to deal massive damage if you build around that trait. You could be hitting for like 7 or 8 penetrating damage at a time. And he starts with his special movement power here, which is Hellfire Cycle, which Ghost Rider can use hypersonic speed and improved movement, ignores elevated and hindering terrain. So that's pretty awesome. He's got some good damage reducers. 120 points, he is a little pricey, but he can be worth it if you actually take the time to build around him. So you can take a look at his dial there. So he starts right there with that 10 movement with that hypersonic special, 10 attack, 18 with impervious and indomitable, and 3 damage and 3 range. So if you kind of keep him back and let your teammates go out and do all the work, and then as they get KO'd, he can hypersonic in and hit for like 4 or 5 pretty quickly. It's pretty good. So he's going to come in at number 5. And coming in at number 4, we have Alejandra Ghost Rider. She was a convention exclusive from a few years back. She's looking pretty awesome. We'll just take a look at the start of her dial there. She's got that 9 movement with charge, 11 attack with blade, 17 with invuln, 3 damage with exploit, and some indomitable, and also a 3 range. And as you can see, she got the Mystics team ability. So in the new Fantastic Four set, I'm pretty sure they just reused this sculpt actually, and then gave her a new one for the Prime version, which is interesting. It's a little different. But this one is pretty awesome. She's got that improved movement through hindering terrain, circle 4 mystical keywords. Later on, she gets a special attack power that she can use Pulse Wave as if she had a range of 8. When she does, and her damage value is replaced with 1, hit characters with 2 action tokens are dealt 2 damage instead. For 99 points, she's pretty solid. She starts as a good Charge Blades exploit, and then gets that running shot Pulse Wave there in the middle. So she's pretty awesome, and she's coming in at number 4. Alright, and coming in at number 3, this is one of my favorite sculpts, actually, the Avengers Defenders War Ghost Rider here. As you can see, that chain whipping around, the whole thing is super awesome. So now this is Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, and as you can see there, he's got improved movement, elevated hindering, and characters, which is super awesome. He starts with a Marvel Knights trait that all the Marvel Knights from that set had, which says at the beginning of the game, for all characters with this trait, you can choose 1. Characters using this trait have a minimum attack value of 10, or they are all wild cards. So that's pretty nice. He only has a 9 attack like on his last 2 clicks, so making him a wild card can sometimes be more useful than that. But if you don't have any good team abilities to copy, then why not give him a 10 attack on his last 2 clicks too? But he's got this super awesome special movement power, which he can use Sidestep, and you can give him a power action to move up to his speed value in a direct path. And after resolutions, you choose 3 damage or 2 penetrating damage, and then you make a close attack targeting all characters he moved through, and hit characters are dealt the chosen damage instead of normal damage. And then placed into a square that Ghost Rider didn't move through that's adjacent to their current square. So then, taking a look at his dial there, 4 range, he's got some indom, he's got 3 different point values, 100, 75, or 50. I prefer the 75 point line the most, because 10 movement is still a lot. You still get to start with an 11 attack, you still get to start with a 3 damage, you still get to start with invulnerability, but you actually have an 18 as opposed to a 17. So aside from having just more life, I don't know why you'd ever really choose the higher point line than 75. I could maybe see choosing 50 if you just wanted to squeeze him onto a team, but I think 75 is a sweet spot there. But yeah, he's just a lot of fun. That sidestep helps him move into position to basically ram through a bunch of characters. And then so dealing them each 3 or dealing them each 2 penetrating is a lot of damage if you move through, 3 characters or so. So placing them all adjacent after the ram kind of sucks because you can't just ram straight through them again on the next turn, but it does mess with all of their positioning, which can be more helpful sometimes depending on what kind of team you're going against. So yeah, he's super awesome. The sculpt is amazing, and he's coming in at a number 3. Alright, and then taking our number 2 spot is Ghost Rider from the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, this guy came out shortly after I started playing the game, and he was probably my highest want for like the longest time. I mean, this guy seriously was just so good and looked so awesome. But we'll take a look at his dial. He's got the transporter symbol there on his movement, so that's not really in Heroclix anymore. So for those of you that don't know, the transporter symbol gives you carry, and it also gives you the move and attack ability. And the move and attack ability is basically just hypersonic speed, but with a -2 to your attack. So for his whole dial, he can hypersonic with -2 to his attack, and he can carry. So that's super awesome. He's got a 3 range, indomitable. He starts with an 11 movement with charge, 11 attack, an 18 with invulnerability, and a 4 damage with exploit weakness. He's also got the Mystics team ability. So he's doing a lot. He's 145 points, which is a lot, but definitely well worth it. He's got a lot of keywords there. He's got improved movement for hindering and elevated, which is super nice. The best thing about this guy, in my opinion, is this Living Hellfire Chain special attack power, which if Ghost Rider has 2 action tokens, you may give him a free action to deal 1 penetrating damage to a single opposing character within 3 squares. So what's awesome about that is, let's say turn 1 you move up, turn 2 you charge in, he gets a second token. Now that he's got 2 action tokens, you can take a free action to just deal free penetrating damage to somebody. Turn 3, he's got 2 action tokens, so you can take a free action to deal 1 penetrating to somebody and then clear. It's just, a lot of free damage without having to make any type of attack roll. So it's super awesome, very helpful. And then on his damage, in the later part of his dial, he has Penance Stare, where Ghost Rider deals penetrating damage to opposing characters that have damaged a friendly character since your last turn. So the cool thing about that Penance Stare power is he combos that later on when he gets poison as well. So if they hit him, after he charges up next to them, they hit him and he lands on Penance Stare and poison, he's going to be able to do a penetrating poison back to the character that hit him since they damaged a friendly character. He's still friendly to himself, so getting that penetrating poison for free, and then any type of attack he lands on them. If he gets flurry there, both of his flurry attacks are going to be penetrating. So he can potentially do a lot of penetrating damage if he gets hit after running in on somebody. He is still probably my favorite Ghost Rider, but not quite the best. But before we get to our number 1 pick, we have a couple honorable mentions. Alright, so the only other Ghost Rider that's really worth mentioning is probably the convention exclusive 1 million BC Ghost Rider. So he starts with a trait that gives him Colossal Retaliation, but as a power action, and you can actually only use it if somebody's been KO'd on your team, and he has to be in the same row or column as the character that KO'd them, and then he can kind of ram through that character and every other character in that same row or column and do some damage to them. So you can pause that and read it if you want. It's pretty long. But then he's got another trait, Before Vengeance, which opposing characters within 3 squares can't use Pulse Wave and deal normal damage instead of penetrating damage. So that can be super helpful if you can position him correctly for that, depending on what kind of team you're going against. Then he's got one more trait, Ancient Incarnation Ghost Rider, which when another friendly character named Ghost Rider hits after resolutions, remove an action token from Ghost Rider. And when another friendly character named Ghost Rider is hit after resolutions, deal the attacker 1 penetrating damage. So the cool thing about the trait there is that he does have Mystics team ability, and I thought it would be super annoying if you played like 3 of these guys on his 100-point line, because then anytime one of them gets hit, your opponent's going to take 1 penetrating from Mystics, 1 penetrating from the other one's trait, and then 1 penetrating from the third one's trait, which, a lot of damage for just hitting something. They're not super great at 100 points, though. They only have Sidestep and Close Combat Expert, which isn't too bad because they are colossal size, so they have that 3 square reach. At 200 points, he does get some charge, quake, exploit weakness, and impervious. And then at 300 points, he's got that hypersonic precision strike, invincible, and prob control. So he gets really, really good at the higher point lines, but that is a lot of points. I've only played him a few times at the 100-point line, just because it's really hard to squeeze that 300 points into a game most times and actually plan on teaming him up with anything. And the Colossal Retaliation would be much better if it wasn't so restrictive to when something's KO'd and taking a power action and all that. But, you know, he does do quite a bit for the team. He's got a lot of strength there on his higher point lines if you're playing a high point game. And he's just really cool. I mean, look at him. He's on a flaming mammoth. He's so awesome. It's so cool. Plus, he's got the Avengers keyword, so there's a lot more you can team him up with than the other characters on our list so far. But then this other one I want to talk about isn't technically named Ghost Rider, but I had to show him off because if you guys haven't seen this dude before, he is just so cool. He is the Spirit of Vengeance Red Hulk. And if you guys don't know what he's from, basically it was a Venom story called Circle of 4 where Red Hulk got the Venom symbiote and was possessed by Ghost Rider all at the same time. So we're talking about 3 super powerful beings kind of merged into one. Pretty awesome. It was so cool. And I couldn't believe they actually made a Heroclix of it. I was so happy that they did. He's not super amazing though, but he's pretty awesome. He's got improved movement, ignores elevated, hindering, and characters. He's got a trait, Alien Symbiote, where he can use plasticity, shape change, and automatically breaks away. He's got a special on his attack where he has a range value of 5 and 2 targets, but when he makes a range attack, hit characters are given an action token and dealt 1 penetrating damage instead of normal damage. And then on his damage, he has Penance Punch. When Spirit of Vengeance Red Hulk hits an opposing character after resolutions, deal that character penetrating damage equal to the number of action tokens on it. So potential to do a lot of extra penetrating damage there on the back half of his dial, where he gets that flurry, especially if he's already close to somebody. I probably like him better at the 200-point line because he starts with the hypersonic, and you can make a range attack with that 5 range double target, which would then be a 3 range if you're hypersonicking, just to do, you know, give some action tokens and do a little penetrating damage. But, you know, at 250 points, he does start with charged super strength and some higher defenses, so that's not bad. But I do like the 200-point line because with the impervious and the traded shape change, you get 2 rollouts, so... But both are pretty good. Indomitable and Mystic's team ability, of course, make him pretty awesome. But yeah, these guys are super cool. Not quite good enough to make the list, but in my opinion, I think they're must-haves for how cool they are. But anyway, that brings us to our number 1 spot. So without further ado, let's check it out. All right, and revving his engines into our number 1 spot is... Robbie Reyes, Chase Ghost Rider from Captain America and the Avengers. This guy just does so much. And then, of course, Avengers never hurts. Having that keyword, shield, another great keyword. As you can see there, he's got that improved movement, elevated and hindering terrain. So he's got this awesome trait, which lets him use Passenger 3, but only to carry characters that share a keyword regardless of flight. Ram, and when Ghost Rider uses it, he modifies his speed +3 and does not take unavoidable damage from using it. So that's helpful in a lot of situations. Moving your whole team up with Avengers or Shield or even Mystical is great. And then, you know, of course, ignoring the elevated and hindering terrain over there. And then he's got this awesome Flaming Chain trait that whenever Ghost Rider hits with an attack after resolutions, you may give the flame marker to a hit character, removing it from any other character. And then when a character with the flame marker hits after resolutions, deal them 1 penetrating damage. And when a character with the flame marker misses all targets, remove it. So essentially, it's kind of like Mystics, but anytime they hit anything. So it's really cool. He just has to hit them first. And he does, of course, have his own Mystics team ability. So if they hit him after he's given them the flame marker, they're taking 2 penetrating damage. And then, of course, if you're playing him with that 1 million BC Ghost Rider, he can make that 3 penetrating damage. So that's a super annoying combo. But he starts out with some great stats. 10 movement with charge, 11 attack with quake, 18 invuln, and 4 damage with exploit weakness. He's got indom, he's got some 3 range there. He's only 70 points. He can carry the whole team and be a great attacker at the low cost of 70 points. as well as annoying your opponent with all that kind of Mystic's feedback damage that he has. And on top of all of that, he has a super amazing looking sculpt. He looks super awesome up close, jumping with that flame and that spinning chain. Looks so cool, honestly. Sadly, mine did break there at the foot joint like most of them do. The glue didn't come out too great, which kind of sucks, but you know, it's okay, it happens. He's still super awesome, and I've still used him a bunch. There's a flame marker that he comes with for his trait, which looks pretty cool as well. For only 70 points, this guy can do a lot for the team. He looks great, and as of right now, he is my #1 Ghost Rider. Alright, so there you have it, my top 5 picks for Ghost Rider before the release of Fantastic Four. If you want to know my thoughts on the new ones, I would say that both the super rares would definitely be somewhere on the list. And I'm sure that the Fast Forces would at the very least be an honorable mention. As for the other one, I think it's an uncommon, the Robbie Reyes one. He's alright. I don't know if he'd really make the list. He's pretty good at 80 points. I hope you guys enjoyed my list. If you did, make sure you leave a like for me. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Ghost Rider is and who you'd like to see on our next top 5 list. And don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. But until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.